the expectations of what you have to do in each stage of your life was out the window. That was out the window. Jonathan had a pace. Jonathan had a rhythm to learn, and pretty much we will have to follow that. And that was the only way it worked for us. It was difficult because the rest of the world goes on one page and you had to go in a different page. So we had to eliminate a lot of stuff, and we had to recondition and adjust things. I'm not a perfect parent either. I will get meltdowns myself because Jonathan was not progressing the way I wanted to. Jonathan, you're supposed to do this. And we had to learn on their own page. With college, it was probably something that we started talking probably in the middle of, by junior high probably. What his aspirations, when he started to have a little bit more mature understanding of what college is all about. First year of high school, he was trying just to survive the first day, not get beat up or come home, with a C. Jonathan has always, he was always been very fortunate that his academics was always on track. So that was never an issue. So the problem was the emotional and the maturity of his way of being. And so what came to our thought was, well, we don't put in maybe in a community college. And Jonathan, by that time, he was more involved in the conversations, and we sit down, what about community college? What will be a good community college? What will be a setting where it's not too big? It's a small setting, because Jonathan always worked with smaller settings than bigger schools, because, from elementary school to junior high to high school to a college, that will be, we knew that. And Jonathan was terrified. Oh my God, So we looked and researched and found a community college who it was close to home, but at the same time small enough so he can transition to that high school college mentality, college mode, but at the same time doing the core classes and then figure it out. What do you want to study? What do you want to learn? And in the meantime, it gave them the opportunity to catch up with the social skills and the maturity. Mm-hmm. And that actually probably was the best decision that we all did. And Jonathan actually said that's the best thing. It took, he needed that extra couple of years to kind of grow up a little bit and be ready for that experience of full college that he is now. So I made the conscious decision to not get myself involved, not be in the parents' committee, and not be volunteering, not go to the museums or nothing like that, because I needed to make sure that I learned how to let go. Not so much Jonathan letting go of me letting go of Jonathan. He had an eyepiece, and we were very, very, very good in keeping up with the eyepiece. On the last year of high school, we knew what junior college that he was going to attend, and all the application and all the stuff. The guidance on the high school, they have special counselors who specialize in kids who are going to go to college, and what you want to apply and when you have to apply. And so that stuff, I got involved to make sure that the deadlines were there and he didn't miss any deadlines or miss any paperwork. So we talked to the counselors, and he said, okay, this is what has to be done. This is what, he needs to do. This is the classes that he needs to do to graduate. And I said, what about IP programs? Do they have special education programs in college? I said, I've never been in a college here in the United States. I went to schools in a different country. So they say, yeah, try to call the school, try to figure out what it is. So Jonathan and I call, and they have a special program in there. They call it Access. In that school, they call it Access. And what they do is, it's a student services for students with special needs. It can be any variety of special needs. So you have to get in contact with them. They don't call you. You have to call them. You had to get involved. You had to call, and then after we did the initial interview, initial thing, they pretty much were guiding themselves and talking to Jonathan because he's the adult. And I realized, you know what? I'm just going to be there to listen. But I need Jonathan to listen and to understand what they're telling him, so he can follow through. Jonathan, by that time, he was already drawing a lot. He used to love drawings, especially with the videos that he used to have when here. He used to paint them and draw them and copy them. So he was good. So we knew that the maths and the science were not his forte. It was more the artistic was. So, we were referred to more counselors and teachers' aides who understood Jonathan in that age. Say, well, Jonathan might be good in this area. So try that area, do the general eds in a junior college, and maybe get a couple of classes of artistic, see if it works, see if it likes him or it doesn't work for him. And if it's not, then figure out what else to do. In the meantime, you continue doing the general eds. But the main was for him to get a couple of extra years for him to be ready to say, okay, I'm ready for college. His sister, Anne-Marie, said, let's start introducing him to buses, for transportation. Because I started working more hours in my job, so I couldn't pick him up. So Jonathan said, okay. So I said, let's find routes that goes from the high school to the house. And then when you go there, you get home, you call us, let us know. So we started small little routes, and that one works. A couple of times he missed the bus, and got a wrong bus and not going in the wrong place. He needed to learn about street lights, crossing the streets and the corners and all that stuff because, he will be in his own world and, so that's something that the independence that Anne-Marie was very adamant. I said, no, he needs to learn about crossing streets, about things, so he needs to be more aware. And I said, yes. But eventually he got it. He figured out what buses were supposed to be picked up, and he picked it up very quickly because he didn't want to get lost again. He didn't want to he didn't want to get mom upset because I will be like, Jonathan, what did you do? So that was it. So he got the rhythm. And then it was like once or twice a week, it will be the afternoon one. In the morning, I will drop him off and he can come home. And we did it for a couple of years. He went to the DMV to get his learning permit. He wanted to learn how to drive in junior college, but it was just too stressful for him. He did pass the test, but it was too stressful and it was just didn't handle, he had an emotional breakdown, and it was very difficult for him because it was just too nerve-wracking for him. But then he said, I'm not ready for that yet. We made the commitment, and Jonathan made the commitment, I need to learn how to cook, how to be by myself, do everyday life, fix myself, fix my room, know how to carry a key, how to do the everyday adult life. But in an environment where he made a mistake, I could be there, or my father can be there, or my parents can be there. And so it was a trial and errors the first probably couple of years until he was able to understood. And because he liked food, like every typical young college young man, the first thing he said, okay, Jonathan, you like food, let's teach you how to do your favorite food. So he learned very quickly how to learn his favorite dishes. Jonathan became a little bit independent little by little. couple of classes that they were hard because they're core classes, and the core classes have the math and the physics and all that stuff. He actually didn't do well in one of the classes, so he didn't pass it with enough, so he had to repeat that class. And he had to spend an extra year in junior college because that put him behind. But then I told Jonathan, I said, hey, you know, you had to do it right. You had to, but by the second year, he understood what was expected of him and what efforts he had to do, and he had to pump up in order to pass the class. The first year, Jonathan, of course, got himself into a couple of situations where the teachers had to call me, the professors, because he had a meltdown or something happened and he couldn't understand. So he had an emotional breakdown, and a couple of situations where he was escorted out of the classroom, so the library, because he was talking too loud or things like that. And then they told him, you can't do certain things, And professors over there, they don't tolerate as much, things. And they had to sit down and say, Jonathan, this is an adult situation and things. So we had to have serious talks. And he understood. He apologized. He knew that he did something wrong, and he corrected it. That's something that it's always been with Jonathan. I knew he understood what the situation and corrected it. He didn't want to do it again. He didn't want to himself, And he apologized and, oh, I'm so sorry. I apologize. And he corrected.